Let's get the party started.
Oh, baby!
When was the last time you shit your pants?
You think I'm a goddamn fool?
I shit my pants last night.
It's a beautiful planet. Well, it's a moon, for sure.
I'm sick and tired of all this bullshit. Put that in your package, folks.
What's up, everybody? Josh, the Clearing Waivers Podcast, coming at you for another week of the Clearing Waivers Podcast. Hope everybody is doing well on this evening. We appreciate you stopping by. Tonight, we've got a fourth face here. You might know him from previous episodes. We have enjoyed speaking to him a couple times prior to this, so he is obviously a recurring guest / friend of the show. But not only that, but he is also the guest for the episode number 69. So we did it, guys. He was the first ever guest we ever had on the Clearing Waivers Podcast, and we needed to bring him back for episode 69. Obviously, I think that's how this all goes. But Max Rieper, editor-in-chief at Royals Review, also our new boss now, right?
Yep.
The new boss. We got the boss man in the house this evening, so we're going to get some questions and some state of mind, if you will, where he is prior to the opening day. First pitch coming up on Thursday. We've got some other things to kind of talk about. Mostly going to be Royals heavy again this episode. We're all pumped about the Royals getting off to a good start, and we're ready to roll here. So, without further ado, let's get into clearing the waivers.
We're clearing the waiver.
Like I said, we've got to get a barometer. We've got to check the temperature of the editor-in-chief at Royals Review. Max, how has your off season gone? Are you in fighting shape? Are you ready to get this ball rolling?
I wish I was in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I put on the pandemic pounds,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm not exactly game ready right now. But you play your way into it, I guess, and
Yeah.
I'll be ready. But yeah, it's been a fun off season, I think. I mean, I was expecting like a really quiet, oh, the Royals signed Wade Davis to a minor league deal. That's the biggest transaction of the off season. They were pretty active, getting
Yes.
Carlos Santana, Mike Minor, Andrew Benintendi, who I think was a real surprise.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of excitement. I think this is the most excited fans have been really probably since 2016.
16 was what I was gonna say. Yeah,
and so hey, we're just glad to have baseball back for one, but
That's
I mean,
right.
number two, to have like a fun team to cheer for, I think that just even adds to it. So yeah, I think the fan base is pumped, man. Like you said.
it's interesting. It seems like the Royals are kind of a popular pick to be like a wily team, kind of a live wild card to kind of keep your eye on. So I can get on board with that.
Yeah, it seems like there's been kind of two schools of thought in the mainstream media. There's like one school of thought that I think is still kind of stuck in like, okay, these are the same old Royals, 73 wins, 72 wins. And I know that's what some of the projection systems have said. And I think there is another train of thought that's like, well, you know what, the Royals, they were pretty active. They do have some good young pitching coming up. They do have some interesting well, maybe not young, but interesting hitters that are kind of experienced and in their prime at least, like Merrifield and Dozier and Mondesi. And so, yeah, they're going to be feisty. I think they're going to be a tough out. They're going to be a competitive team. And so I lean more towards the latter. I'm still kind of wait and see mode. They play in the Show Me State, so I'm like, show me you can do it. Because I've been excited about Royals teams in the past that were rebuilding. It's like, okay, now we've got the horses, and they kind of go out and go 6-20 in May, and that's it. So, I don't think this team will do that, but I'm still kind of cautious. But
Sure.
I think this team has a chance to be feisty and at least be close to 500, if not over 500 by the end of the season. So I think a lot of really different outcomes you could see out of this team. I think that's what's really most exciting.
And I think that's actually the perfect lead in to kind of where we're headed here is we're talking about him being feisty. I think Matt Lamar wrote an article here, was it Monday? Talking about the things that needed to go right in order for the Royals to have a winning season, not even a contending season, but a winning season to at least be just above, if not a few games above 500 here. I think I had it in our predictions article today that I think they're about 83 wins. And I was most definitely the optimistic one of the group. Once again, I think I'm like 3 years running at the optimistic guy.
We love your
But,
sunny optimism.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. I'm only here for the positivity, and if that means 4 games over 500, then I guess it is what it is. But yeah, I guess in your mind, I think he had 4 major points. I think the first one was kind of where we've been at as far as a podcast goes, was like, we think that their floor is a lot higher than people are giving them credit for, because of 2020 was kind of a mirage. They got out to that start that you were kind of hinting at. They went 3-13, I think, in the first 16 games. They had Keller, O'Hearn, Dozier missed some time. Salvia was out injured. It got off to a very rough start, and thus a 3-13 start. After that, they were like a game under 500 ball. So I think that's kind of where we were. And if that's the ceiling, is there, I guess, where are you at on what needs to go right in the Royals season in 2021 for them to have a winning season?
Yeah, you know, when I think back about some of those teams, you know, I mentioned I've been burned before, but, you know, with teams look seemingly pretty good and then they come out and fall flat in their face. I think the one thing this team has that those teams didn't is pitching, starting pitching.
Mhm.
I think, you know, these past teams where we're like, ooh, maybe Kyle Davies could be something. It's like, okay, he's not really anything, and that hurts you because then you go out and lose, you know, 3 out of 5 games. You can't rely on Zach Greinke every 5th day. And to hold your ball club together. So this team, I think, has a lot more pitching depth. And when you have not just Brad Keller, but you also have Mike Minor, who's legit. I mean, I think people forget how good he was in 2019, and last year was pretty fluky, and he wasn't very good. But I think we can all, you know, write that off. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was in 2019, but he's like a solid 2-3 win pitcher. You know, that'd be awesome. You know, that'd be certainly worth what he's getting. And so you couple that with Keller and Brady Singer with the advances, but he really finished the season strong last year. And I was pretty impressed with how he was kind of, I think if he had a full season, I think you would have seen him kind of really start putting up really good numbers towards the end of the year. So they have some really good depth there. And, you know, I didn't mention Danny Duffy, who was, you know, the opening day pitcher a couple years ago. And I you know, he kind of is what he is at this point, which is if he's a solid number 3, number 4 pitcher, your rotation's pretty good, and the Royals have a chance to have a pretty good rotation. So I think the key is probably having some kind of health in your rotation. They do have some depth there, but you know, it's certainly, if you miss, you know, Keller for an extended period of time, if you miss Danny Duffy, you know, that's going to hurt quite a bit. So I think they're gonna really need that. I think a lot of people have kind of pointed the same thing as a barometer of success. Adalberto Mondesi, like this is year 6 for him, really. He kind of needs to put it together. It's enough of like, oh yeah, he's got great talent, and he could be you know, a 20-50 guy in the majors, or even better, he can be an all-star. It's like, okay, he needs to play a full season first, and he needs to be like an above average hitter for that season. And if he does that, man, he'd be a great player. He's already a pretty valuable player with his defense and his speed. If he can add a pretty good bat with that, I mean, that's an extremely valuable player to have. So I think if they're going to have some success, I think a lot of people kind of pointed the same things, like Adalberto Mondesi has to have a pretty good season. And then other than that, I mean, I think just, you know, no big surprises, because I think they have kind of, like you said, they kind of have a higher floor than they've had in the past. Like, this looks like a team that, even if things don't really go that well, they'll probably win like 74, 75 games, which maybe doesn't seem like much, but that's an improvement over last year's team. And if things go really, really well, I think your prediction of 83 wins, I mean, that's not, I wouldn't say that's a crazy thing to happen. I mean, that'd be like, okay, some things went right for them, and some guys develop better than, you know, quicker than we thought. And probably Bobby Witt comes up at some point this year and gives them a spark. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the fun thing about this year, is like a lot of different things could happen this year, and a lot of them are good. I mean, like, even if Bobby Witt Jr. doesn't come up, they could be a pretty good team. I think if he does come up and he's really an impactful player immediately, I mean, then your expectations, I think, go up quite a bit. I mean, because having him in the lineup, and just the flexibility he provides, and the bat he provides, and the things he can do, gives you a lot of different possibilities. So that's what's, I think, just most fun about the season. It's like you can kind of close your eyes and dream about a lot of cool scenarios. And I think either way you look at it, it's going to be an improvement over last year.
Yep. I like it. And it's, speak to your depth. It seems like they've had depth in the outfield the last few seasons, when it's really a glut. Like, they had a glut of 4A guys that, you know, maybe Brett Phillips can finally put it together. Maybe Bubba Starling, he's got a great glove and good feet. Maybe he can hit 270 and stick in a lineup. But it doesn't seem like that. Like, to your point for the starting pitching, these guys are legitimate expectations. It's not if, it's when with a lot of these guys. And I think that's way different than what we've kind of seen in the last few seasons.
Yeah, it's definitely a different philosophy when, you know, in the past, they would have been like, you know what, let's see what Franchi Cordero can do for you. Let's see what, you know, Brett Phillips can do for you. Let's see what Nicky Lopez. I mean, the Nicky Lopez demotion is a clear indication that they're like, we need to win now. We don't have time to give Nicky Lopez 500 at bats to figure this out.
Yep.
And, you know, he'll get some playing time this year. I'm sure he'll be back up. But they're not going to hand him the second base spot and say, okay, you got a long leash. We're gonna let you work on your swing until you develop some power and you know, we'll give you a couple years if you need to, because they're like, we need to start winning, and it's kind of a nice change of pace. I mean, I'm all for the rebuild when you want to audition guys, and I think there's a time and a place for that, and that was the last couple of years.
Yep.
But it's kind of refreshing to see them say, okay, no, Andrew Benintendi, our left fielder. We know he's a solid major leaguer. He's going to get 500 at bats, 600 at bats. And we're not going to mess around with, you know, Franchi Cordero and, you know, giving guys a shot. So that to me, I think that's the biggest change. And I think that's going to send a message, not just to those players, but, you know, but the whole team. Like, it's got to be frustrating for Whit Merrifield, who's a consummate professional and all-star level player, to be like, okay, we're going to give this guy 500 plate appearances to figure it out. And I got to carry this line, and I got to shuffle in between second base and right field because, you know, we got to see what this guy can do. So now they're like, okay, Whit's going to play second, and we got it figured out. And Kyle Isbell seems like he's going to get a chance to play right. And they're going to, you know, and that's still kind of an audition, but it's going to the guy they think has more offensive potential. So definitely a shift in priorities. I think that's another thing that's got fans excited, because frankly, I think a lot of us were tired of like, all right, let's wait and hope and cross our fingers and hope that Franchi Cordero and Nicky Lopez and all these other guys turn into something. Because
we play to win every game. No,
yeah,
I mean, sure.
That's he's turning the corner finally. You know, it's like okay, you know, he has 3 good at bats. It's like okay, he's turning the corner. You know, so yeah, I mean, I think that's just a different philosophy, different mindset now, and
100%.
It just got people excited. And fans like that. I think fans want to see a team that is putting an emphasis on winning.
So going on those lines, you mentioned some of the players I'll be asking about here shortly, but we've got some fun over-unders on some season totals for some Royals players. And the first was one of the guys you mentioned, Adalberto Mondesi. If anyone's a longtime listener, they know I'm on record as not a big fan of his bat right now. And I'm not sure if he's ever going to get it going, but leave that for another day. So we have it set at over under 720 this year. And
I think we need to preface this. This is the Zips depth chart projections. We can come up with these, but they're not even going to be close to being accurate. So
I got to come up with this one.
Yeah, I would love to hear your over under on this.
But just for a little backstory, his career OPS is 699. 2018 he did 804. But then 2019, 715, and 2020, 710. Mm-hmm. So this year, what do you got over under 720?
Yeah, when you first posed that to me, I was like, well, that doesn't seem like that should be that hard to get over. But then you're right. He hasn't done it the last 2 years. So, yeah, and it's always going to be hard with a guy like that because he just has such a low on-base percentage. Like 300 would be like a really good on-base percentage for him. So, you know, he's got us like 420, which, you know, you would think wouldn't be that. That should be achievable with his power. Yeah. So I'll take the over. I'm probably not as skeptical as you about Mondesi, but I am kind of like, I don't think he's going to really achieve like the superstardom that some people kind of think he will. But he doesn't have to be great. He just has to be like a 720 OPS would be pretty darn good if he's healthy for 130, 40 games, and has a 720 OPS and he has that power and speed, or the speed and the defense. That's a 4-win player. And so I'll take the over like slightly, but I understand your skepticism. I think he doesn't, you know, he gets himself out a lot, and you can't post a sub 290 on base percentage and have much success in the major league level. I think pitcher's going to figure out just not to throw any strikes. So I'll take the over, but I'm cautious about it.
Yeah, I've been trying to get BK to bet me for quite a while now. I think we started off at like 800 last year, then it's been down to 750 or so, and I'm still I'm asking, come on, BK.
Well, you set the line right here, 720.
Zips set that line. That's not my line.
Hey, you brought it up. It's wild
All
that
right.
he still got close the last 2 seasons, 7-10, 7-15. It seems like it was so much worse.
Yeah.
That's true. He does. He puts that superstar month together that really
Yeah, he does.
hits up his numbers.
Very streaky guy.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, we've got Jorge Soler on K percentage at 30%. Career 27.9.
That's lower than I thought it'd be.
I would have thought it was higher than that. That's
Me
actually kind of
too.
surprising.
But last year was 34.5.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
You're-
I'll take the over on that just because strikeouts are pretty high right now, and he's a guy that probably is going to whiff. And he's a little bit older, and I think guys are going to start to whiff a little bit more as they get older. So I'll say the over. I'll take the over on that. But I think he can still have a good year with a 30% strikeout rate.
Yep.
Right. I was actually really surprised by that number 2 when I saw it 30%. I seemed, he actually was worse last year. How about that?
I think in spring training it was like a 45. Take that for
he's
what
just-
it was, but it was.
He's just trying to
bonkers.
hit. He's just trying to hit light posts on
That's
spring
fine.
training.
Hey, he's working on some things. All right.
Yeah, we throw out the bad season stats. They're obviously bad.
Spring training
bad
doesn't
seasons.
count. They're bad
Yep.
numbers.
Yeah, he's just going for. He's
Yeah,
just
I
going,
would- I always love that about spring training. It's like we always just like get excited about the numbers that are good in camp, and then the bad ones are like, he's working on something.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. He's good. All right, number 3, Mike Minor. You mentioned him as having a good impact on the rotation. Over under on innings pitched at 176.
Woo!
And he threw 208 in 2019.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
I always take the under on innings pitched for pitchers just
Yeah.
because A, they could get hurt, and B, we're coming off a weird shortened year where I don't know how teams exactly are going to handle workloads. The Royals kind of talked about doing a 6-man rotation at one point. Then they said, well, the first 2 weeks we have so many off days, we don't need to do that. And I still don't know. I mean, and then Matheny was talking about, we don't really need to baby them. Like we can kind of, this is not that crazy to go from like 70 innings to 150 or 160, whatever. And I mean, the research is kind of unclear. It's like we don't know if guys can ramp it back up quickly or not. I mean, it's kind of a myth or an urban legend at this point that you
Right.
can't go from 60 to 160. I mean, certainly there have been guys that were hurt. They came back and threw that the next season, but also they were hurt. So we don't know. So I'm curious to see what teams do. I think teams will probably err on the side of caution. That's even goes for the Royals a little bit. So, and it may not be like they have a 6-man rotation, but just like Minor only goes 5 innings in each
Mhm.
start,
Right.
which Matheny was kind of doing last year. And he had a pretty quick hook last year. So the days of guys going like 7 innings a game, 200 innings, I mean, we may have seen the last of that anyway. So I'll take the under on that.
Call
Right.
that
I
the
think those-
Dave Roberts strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Or
I think those-
Kevin Cash.
Yes.
Pulling Blake Snell in the middle of the 5th inning. I mean,
Yep.
that's going to be the norm, for a while.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, there's one team that won't do that. I think Dusty Baker is still managing somewhere. So there's one team that's going to throw guys 8 innings a game. So we'll
It's good
see
for
see
Greinke.
how many bullets he has out there.
Yeah.
And the number 4, last of the list here, we got Josh Stomont. Walks per 9, 7.
7 is a lot.
7. His career in the MLB is 5.2. In his AAA years, he had one year over 7 and 2 years under 7.
You're basically telling me they're calling him a fraud.
That kind of sounds like
what it
what
sounds
Zips
like.
is getting at there.
Well, I mean, it is pretty amazing. He's gotten his walk numbers down as much as he
Yes.
has. I mean, I remember discussing him as a prospect a couple years ago, and it was just like, man, is this guy ever going to throw a strike? Because those walk numbers were crazy.
Bonkers.
And I don't know. I was trying to look for like guys that had high walk rates in the minors that figured it out. And of course, Randy Johnson, I think, is probably the guy that most people point to. But they just aren't. I mean, usually guys that can't find the plate never find the plate. I mean,
Mhm.
unless they sacrifice a whole lot of velocity, which he hasn't
Mhm.
done. So it's pretty amazing. He's gotten his walk number down to where it is. So I'll take the under on that. I think it keeps it up. I think it is sustainable. I think he is for real. I think he's figured something out. I hope he has, at least, because he's exciting to watch when he's on. And if he's walking guys, he's not going to last in the big leagues very long. So I'll
Right.
take the under on that and have my fingers crossed he can keep it up.
All right.
It's the first pitcher in a while the Royals have had that's been appointment television. I mean,
Oh,
in
yeah.
our group chat, we
Yeah.
always
Good
send
point.
out Josh Stomont alerts to each other just so we can turn it on if we're not paying attention.
Yeah, he's the most giftable pitching ninja pitcher on
Oh.
our team right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
That hammer. Oh, that hammer. So we're gonna change gears up a little bit. We're gonna take away the crystal ball, and we're gonna reach inside your brain a little bit. We're gonna put on our amateur psychologist hats on. We're gonna do a little mental exercise. Get in the mind of Max Wellington Reaper. I'm not. That's definitely not your name. But
That's exactly my middle name.
okay, good.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. It was a great start here. Great start. So we're gonna do this exercise. The first word that comes to mind when I say blank. We got a few of them here. I'm gonna go with spring training. First word that comes to your mind.
Overrated. I mean, just as far as like stats and like getting excited about players, like we do this every year just because like we're so thirsty for baseball. It's like, oh, this guy popped 6 home runs in spring training. It's like, well, it's like they're exhibition games in Arizona where the weather's nice and they're playing every other day. All these starters only play a couple innings every other day, and it's against uneven competition. Like you're not facing Shane Bieber 4 times. You're not facing Blake Snell. You're facing maybe a 1 starter, a AAA guy, and then a couple guys in the back of the rotation, the back of the bullpen. So, the numbers aren't completely meaningless, but they're pretty meaningless.
Sure.
I love spring training. I love covering and reading the stories about it. I love getting excited about it, even though I know in the back of my mind, don't get excited about this because like Pete O'Brien was a Cactus League MVP.
Yep.
So, but I'd say it's pretty overrated.
I thought Pete O'Brien was for real. That was tough. That was a tough pill to swallow. How about opening day?
First, so I got one word.
Yep.
Just, I guess excited. I don't know.
Yep. I was gonna say overrated.
Okay, so I'm like the guy that like goods all in for opening day. Like I will pay whatever amount of money to go. I go every year. I love the ceremony. I love the how great the stadium looks that day. I love that the stadium's usually full. It won't be this Thursday, but usually it's full capacity. And in some years that was the only year that would be the case. The only day that would be the case. So I'm all in for going to opening day, and I love it. I know a lot of people are like it's overrated. Go the next day. It's the same stadium. Price. So, but I'm the sucker that pays that price. So
I think I saw today that there were no more tickets through Royals.com.
Right.
So I think it's as sold out as it's going to be for at least opening day. Yeah, plenty of tickets available for the next day. So if you can't get in there for that, go for it. How about Kyle Isbell?
Kyle Isbell. So I want to say, Jason Kipnis would be what first thing comes to mind. So there's been a lot of comps thrown out. David DeHazes gets tossed out a lot, which I don't quite see.
Yeah.
Because David DeHazes had amazing walk numbers in the minors, and Isbell had pretty good walk numbers in the minors, but not amazing. And look, his minor league season was cut short in 2019, and obviously he didn't have one last year. So maybe he would have put up great numbers then. But I think he's actually a different kind of player. I think he's more of he has a little more pop in his bat, and he reminds me of Kipnis. They both played second base and played outfield.
Yep.
They both seem kind of gritty, gamey, and I think I'm falling into they look physically similar, so they must be similar players. But I think I don't think he's gonna be like a star. But I think he could be a solid corner outfielder who is a starter for a really good team. Maybe a little Cole Calhounish, that kind of player. Maybe not quite as much power as him, but a really solid defender. Guy can draw some walks, run a little bit, hit a little bit, do a little bit of everything well. So I'm pretty excited about the guy. He's a guy I was really high on when they drafted him. I thought it was a good idea to get a polished bat like that. I thought a college bat like that could rise to the system pretty quickly, and sure enough, it looks like he's going to. So, I think Kipnis is what I'm kind of expecting, but who knows? This year off, we don't know how these guys have been developing at the alternate site and
right.
With their new hitting system in the minor league. So these guys could be developing much differently than what we've seen in the past, and who knows what he turns into. But I'm really excited to see what he does this year.
Yep, I like it.
Do you have an idea? Do you have any kind of favorite comp, or what do you see? What kind of player do you see him like?
The Cole Calhoun is a good one, especially in the fact that Cole Calhoun always shows up on like fantasy projections, always in the top 200-300 guys. And then you look at it as like, am I really going to roster Cole Calhoun? Am I going to draft him for like $6? No. But I've been pretty high on Kyle Isbell from Jump Street, especially last year when the reports started coming out. I haven't really got a person kind of zeroed in. I've kind of always been under the De Jesus mirage as well. I did see, I think Sean Newkirk did a little, he at least tweeted someone else's comps and said something about Grady Sizemore. And that was very interesting to me because Brian and I both loved Grady Sizemore when we were growing up, even though he's an Indians guy. We both thought we thought the world of him. So if he's getting Grady Sizemore comps, then it makes a lot of sense why I feel like the universe is telling me to love Kyle Isbell at that point.
Yeah,
Makes
that'd be
a lot of
great if he
sense.
turned into that. I mean, I'm really curious to see his defense because I've heard some really. I guess
Oh,
it doesn't seem like he'd be like tremendously athletically, like
Yep.
fast or anything like that. But I've heard really great things. Like he's a guy who can go get the ball, and you'll need that in Kauffman Stadium. So I'm really curious to see what kind of defensive player he is.
he seems to be, you're talking about Staumont being a pitching ninja giftable pitcher. Seems like Isbell's one of the better defenders that's going to be giftable in a few years. I think he's going to be very much highly spoken on that part. And I hope he can hit. It seems like he can definitely hit at this level and potentially be that gritty dude. So I hope that's the case. I don't want to be wrong ever, but definitely not on guys that are special to my heart like Kyle Isbell. Let's move on to something else near and dear to my heart. Brisket-acho. First word coming to mind on Brisket-acho.
Delicious. Brisket-acho, I have missed you so much. We've been away for too long. My kids have never had it. And I told them about it the other day because I think they tweeted it out and they looked at it and they're like their eyes popped out and they're like, can we have that when we go to the game? I go, dig in, kids. We're all going to be able to enjoy it. Now we'll see. I don't know when I can bring them out and we can all share it or whatever. I don't know what the rules are on that. But yeah, we're gonna be enjoying the Brisket-acho as soon as we can.
Yep. I think after this, we're gonna have a draft of some Kauffman Stadium delicacies, and so I guarantee you Brisket-acho is pretty high on the draft boards of all three of us here.
That's another thing they asked. They're like, "What's your go-to at the ballpark?" And for me, it's the brat. I love the brats.
Yep.
They have out.
Classic cheddar brat.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't send you this one in the prep beforehand, but I've got one more. Give us the first word that comes to mind when you hear the Clearing Waivers podcast.
Fantastic. It's been around for 69 episodes. It's going strong. It's entertaining. Dudes know their stuff, and I'm glad you guys are around because it's great that we have so many voices about the Royals and just about Kansas City sports. There's people out there with their own blogs now, their own podcasts, doing their thing. And I think it's great. I mean, it's just, everyone's got their own thing. Everyone brings a different, unique perspective to it. I think you guys do a great job. You keep it light, you keep it funny, you keep it informative. So I think you guys do a fantastic job, and I'm always glad to be on here. I always have a good time when I'm on here with you guys.
Yeah, we always enjoy having you for sure. That was an official job performance for everybody. For the Royals Review HR staff, that was an official. Put that in our permanent record.
As long as you bring me back once every 69 episodes.
Yes.
Deal. I mean, that's easy peasy. We'll see you in about a year and a half, depending on our life schedules.
Well, being that it's episode 69, we're going to bring a new segment alert to the fine podcast here. We're going to call it Ball Street, in vein of in the idea of Wall Street. We're going to give you a statement, may or may not be a hot take, and you can buy, hold, or sell it. Hold it if you're not ready to make a call on it. You want to see a little more before you make a call on it. So statement number one, Bobby Witt Jr. will be an everyday player for the Royals this season.
I'm buying on that. Yeah. And I was probably more skeptical than most fans when they drafted him, when he didn't perform that well his first season. Through even the spring training. Like I said, I think spring training is pretty overrated. So I was like, you know what, let's wait on this guy. But you know what? The highlights are pretty legit. I mean, he does obviously have 5-tool talent. I see why people get so excited. I mean, Jim Callis at MLB.com, who's a pretty reserved guy, he said he's like the best shortstop prospect he's seen in like 20 years. So that's something to get excited about. So
considering Wander Franco is in the world now is very interesting. He's a prospect now.
So I think I think he's going to be pretty close to. He's pretty close to major league ready. I do want to see him get that action in the minors first. So I think let him go to Double-A for May and June, and maybe even a little bit of July. But I think after the All-Star break, there's probably going to be a drumbeat to get him up.
Yeah, that's so
especially
exciting.
if the Royals are somewhat competitive.
Yes, sign me up. Another guy I want to get excited about for statement number 2. We've talked about him plenty of time already. Buy, sell, or hold. Alberto Mondesi will get MVP votes this season. And I'm not talking about Royals MVP.
AL MVP.
AL
I'm going to
MVP.
sell that. I think the MVP vote tends to go to guys that are on really good teams or on mid-market teams or established players. If the Royals do improve a lot and Mondesi has a good season, he could get credit for that. But like I said, I'm a little reserved on him. I think like he could be a good player, but probably not an MVP candidate. Like, and it's hard to get MVP votes. Like Salvador Perez has only gotten MVP votes twice. Once was, I think, in 2015. Once was last year.
Yep, that's right.
So it's not that common to get MVP votes. So I'll sell on that. But if the Royals do improve a lot and Mondesi is pretty good, then I think you will see some votes at least down ballot. So
All right.
sell for now.
Third and final hot take here. Buy, sell, or hold. The Royals will be buyers at the trade deadline.
That I will sell, but I don't feel strong about that because I think if they are anywhere close, like 5 games within the wild card, which they could be at the All-Star break, or it could be by the end of July, then I can see them. They probably won't make a big move, but I can see them picking up a reliever. Like, it wouldn't be crazy to see them pick up some depth, I will say sell for now because I don't think they'll be in that position, but it's not crazy at all to think that they would. So,
and I think that's fair to I think that's fair to call it a sell too, because that's exactly the scenario that I thought of at the deadline. Maybe they look for a reliever that somebody's got on a 1-year deal, kind of like we unloaded Rosenthal last year. I don't consider that being buyers at the deadline. That's kind of just adding some pieces that's not necessarily a part of your future. But yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah, and like in 2013, when they kind of first became competitive, like they weren't in it at all in July. At the end of July, like I think they made a move to pick up someone. I think in August after the trade deadline. I want to say they got they got Justin Maxwell maybe, and because that was when they got hot in August, and that kind of got them into the race. So, I don't know if that's what they're going to do this year, but just because they don't make a move in July doesn't mean that they won't be in the race eventually. Like, obviously, we've seen Royals teams kind of look pretty bad in the first half. In the second half, they look like gangbusters and they make the playoffs. So you never know.
Well, here's the spin zone on why I'm selling. Because they're going to be in it, but they're just going to bring up Bobby Witt and Daniel Lynch and Asa Lacy and Jackson Kolar, and they're going to be the ones that are kind of pushing things over the edge.
Upgrades
that's
within.
A really good point.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good
Spin
point. I
zone.
think that's going to be like a trade deadline boost to them. And I think Dave Moore probably will have that kind of mindset. Like, look, we don't need to trade prospects for more pitchers. We got a couple of really good live. I mean, Daniel Lynch could break into the big leagues as a reliever. I think that's possible. Asa Lacy could break into the big leagues as a power lefty out of the pen. I think that's definitely possible. And that's probably better than picking up, Tyler Clippard, at age 36.
Great pull.
On a team. Yeah.
That's a good name.
Tyler Clippard. Oh, boy.
He did us a favor.
I think that is everything we've got for you tonight, Max. I encourage everybody who's listening to this. You're probably finding us through Royals Reviews, so you know all about Max and the great work that he does, as well as the rest of the writers over at royalsreview.com. So I would encourage everybody who doesn't and hasn't been over royalsreview.com, go to the site, check it out. We got great content over there. If you're listening to us, you're probably going to find some kind of vibe that you're into over there. I write for them every now and then. Saturday morning, do the rumblings. So if you like this podcast, you probably can find something at Royals Review that you do enjoy. And you love Royals, so go. I mean, you might as well be there anyway. So, but Max, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Thanks again, man.
Thank you, and like I said, like you guys do a really good job, and I'm glad you guys are part of our network now of podcasts, and you, like I said, like I think you guys fit really well with kind of the sense of humor we have and the kind of the fandom. So I do appreciate what you guys do, and glad you guys are. I'm always glad to be on whenever you want. So
Didn't even pay him to say that.
Nope.
Just a little bit.
Promise.
Didn't he? We can talk about payment after this. It's fine. All right, guys. We'll be right back after this. Thanks again to Max Rieper for joining us again on the podcast. Always enjoy talking to him, picking his brain. Like we said, sounds like we've got a healthy season ahead of us, at least a very interesting one to start out with. We'll see where it goes. But you've probably seen a lot of people online talking and making a lot of predictions about how this year is going to go in general, not just about the Royals. I know Royals Review actually put out a poll as well to kind of see where the readers' minds are at. So we're going to kind of answer that poll ourselves. We're going to do it as quickly as possible. There are quite a few of them to go with here, but we're going to kind of get our picks on the record so that we can keep track of them and laugh at each other for the stupidity.
Yeah.
First one, we're going to start off same order that is in the Royals Review poll. So if you want to go check out that poll, I think it's on Twitter. Actually, it's on their handle. You can go find the link of it there. And if not, you can certainly reach out to us. We'll find it to you. But we'll kind of go through in order as they are on that poll here. First one here is what Royals position player will lead the team in WAR, wins above replacement. Brian, I'm going to start with you. What do you got?
We've talked about him a lot. This is his year, baby. Breakout year for Mondi. Give me Mondesi. He had the worst first half you could ever have last year. Had a hot second last month. He was second on the team in WAR last year. So if he's hitting decent at all, this guy should lead this team in WAR if he can stay healthy.
Yep, shortstop, always a good position.
Premium
for WAR,
position.
for sure. Kitty, where you at?
I'm going Hunter Dozier.
Mm-hmm.
Age 29 year, I believe. And the guy showed a lot of promise in 2019. Last year was kind of a lost year for him. So I'm going to hope he builds on 2019 and throws up a great season coming up.
Yep. Right there with you. Zips project them to do the 7th highest WAR this season among position players. But I agree. I think he's going to look a little bit like 2019, if not better, where he was worth 2.9 wins above replacement. Right now, Zips has Salvi and Witt as the two leaders in wins above replacement at 3.2 and 3.1. So if he goes 2.9 and then just maybe over excels a little bit, he can certainly get above 3.2. So I like Hunter Dozier as well. Looked good in spring training. Very good. Moving on to the Royals pitcher who's going to lead in WAR. I'm going to kick it off with Mike Minor. We talked about it with Max a lot prior to last season, 2019. It was very, very good. One of the more consistent pitchers, especially on the Royals, being very inconsistent. So I think we can throw last year out. Like we said, bad year, bad stats. We can throw him out. I think he's going to look way more like he did in 2017, 18, and 19. Give me that Mike Minor as the leader in WAR. Kitty, where are you?
Same spot. Mike Minor, who I have down as well. We're
2 for 2. Look at us.
Simpatico here.
Yep.
I was thinking Keller, and then I'll remembering Lynn Worthy interview. He kind of talked me off the Keller ledge. So I decided to go, Mike Minor got a small veteran presence in the lineup or the rotation there. And if he gets back to that 2019 season, I think that'll do it.
Yep. I like it. I think Witt and Keller are the popular two on that poll. But Brian, where are you?
That makes sense. And I wanted to go hot or at least semi-hot and take a guy like Singer because I think he's going to have a really nice year. I just, like we talked about, I don't know if he's going to get the innings pitched to lead the team in WAR. So for that reason, I'm going to take the safe pick in my mind, and that's going to be the Clydesdale Keller. I mean, he was the MVP of the team last year on the pitching side, and I think there's no reason to think that he's going to just become a different guy all of a sudden. I think he's actually getting better. He's still a young guy, and he's adding pitches and refining pitches and figuring out how his ball's cut still. And he's the ace of this team for a reason. And I know, Lynn kind of pointed out small sample size as far as penciling him as the number one guy that you can count on every fifth day, but that's exactly what he's been when he's been called upon to do that. So I see no reason that's going to change, and he'll remain the most interesting pitcher in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Something I don't think we have covered too often is the fact that there's a rumor that the ball is going to be deadened this year. And if Keller, who's a ground ball pitcher anyways, doesn't strike a lot of guys out, he could eat up a lot of innings just by getting a lot of balls in play that aren't hit very hard. So I think he can benefit quite a bit and actually come up with that WAR for sure. Yep.
No steroids and a dead ball. Good Lord, baseball is not 1920.
Well, what's it matter? We're not going to be able to watch it anyway. Moving on. How many games are the Royals going to win here? I didn't write down all the options. I said, Brian, we're going to do this kind of snake draft style. So you lead us off here.
Okay, we started off the podcast asking what needed to go right for the Royals to have a winning season. And to me, I may be crazy, but remain relatively healthy. And I think this team's a winning team. I love this roster. I don't see a glaring weakness on it. Now that we don't have a glaring weakness at second base, seemingly, as long as everything goes as we assume, you're looking at maybe center field being the lineup hole, and who knows what.
That guy hit 1,800 OPS in spring training.
Right. Maybe we don't have any holes in this lineup. I love our pitching staff. I love the young pen. I love the young rotation. I've got them in the 85 to 89 range, and I said this team, I think this team's going to beat the 2013 Royals, and they went 86-76, right? That was the competitive season right before they actually became really competitive. I think this is the step that gets us too competitive, but doesn't quite get us in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. I was going to bring it up with Max, but I saw him tweet, I think it was last night, talking about how this going into the season has 2013 vibes to it. So definitely simpatico as well. Kitty, where are you at?
I was not as bullish. I went with the 80 to 84.
Hey, that's bullish for you.
That's not. That's
it really is. But I'm at the low end. I'm at 80.
Okay.
Okay. It's still a losing record.
I mean, I think it's still a huge step from 2019 and 2020. They're moving in the right direction. I like what they've done with Santana and Benintendi. I'm still a little worried about the rotation. I know they've got some good track record guys. I'm not as, I don't feel as great about the rotation as some people, Brian over here. But I think if everything goes right with the rotation, I could definitely see them getting into that 85 to 89 win range. So, but I just don't see everything breaking right for the rotation. So I'm staying at 80.
Yep. I went 83. I agree with, I think this lineup is kind of underrated, sneaky good, if you will. I think the rotation is going to be around average, if not a little bit above average. I think the weakness in this is actually the bullpen. Brian, you mentioned that they were young. I think that's absolutely fair to say. Outside of Greg Holland, Wade Davis, Jesse Hahn, I mean, those are kind of some old balls guys. Depending on where you thought Irvin Santana fits into that mix as well, he's certainly in there too. Zips has the lowest ERA in that bullpen, is what Fangraphs is kind of projecting at the moment. Barlow would have the best ERA at 4.06 out of that group.
Haters
Not
in the
great.
house.
Not great. So if that's the case, then the Royals are in a lot of trouble because the rotation's not really set up to go 7 innings every night. You're not, like Max said, you're not going to get that kind of performance from. So you need that bullpen to be consistent, be locked down, and be as good as they were last year. I think Barlow, Staumont, Junis, and Holland are kind of the ones that you're kind of for sure going to be dudes, and then it's the other guys have a lot of question marks on top of it. So,
but mostly shove it up your ass, Zips.
I think that's the moral of this podcast. Episode 69, titled "Shove It Up Your Ass, Zips." There it is, featuring Max Rieper. So that's kind of how we're thinking about the Royals. Doesn't sound like anybody's got them going to the playoffs, but we'll have to check on that in just a second here. We're going to go through the winners of the divisions and then the wild cards of both the American League and the National League, starting off with the AL East. I have the Rays winning the East because every time you think that they're going to walk through a gauntlet and just get smashed, they said, nope, I'm going to go ahead and make this competitive and make the playoffs despite walking this gauntlet. So I think that they are going to bounce off of what they did last year, their postseason performance, and then roll it into some momentum to win that AL East. Kitty.
Tampa. Let's do it.
Me, Kitty and me.
It's ridiculous.
It's so good.
That's wild.
Yep. Brian.
Well, I hate it, but I got the Yankees. I just think they're too loaded on the rotation's really good, and that lineup, even missing Luke Voigt for a while with the torn meniscus, that lineup is still terrifying when you're going against it. So I think if they can, avoid just this horrible injury luck that they've had the past few years, I think they're going to be a nasty, nasty team to face off against.
I think that's fair. Let's move west to the Central. AL Central, who you got?
I think it's the White Sox time. I want to go to war with their fans and say we're coming for that ass, but they're just too good. And I mean, even when they lose Eloy Jimenez for seemingly the entire year with the torn pec or whatever the hell it was, they've added pieces of that team that was already lethal, and I think they leap the Twins this year. The Twins, I think they'll be good again this year, but I think the White Sox have enough firepower to overtake them and take the division.
Okay, Kitty.
Same thing. And I was just they've got the guy everyone loves to hate, and Adam Eaton.
Yep. Oh yeah.
including their own clubhouse sometimes.
That's so true.
I am also going White Sox. I will say with a small caveat that I don't think that this team can afford very many injuries because they just added Billy Hamilton and Jake Lamb, two guys that were not able to find roster spots elsewhere. They're projected to be on their bench. And if they take another injury, they got Andrew Vaughn to kind of replace Eloy Jimenez out in left field. That I really like Andrew Vaughn, so I think that that's a pretty solid sub. If they lose another guy and they have to give meaningful at bats to Billy Hamilton and Jake Lamb, that's going to be tough.
Let's go.
Gonna be tough.
Man,
Just
Jake
saying.
Lamb fell on hard times quickly.
Sure
He
did.
was a solid guy 2 years ago.
Yep,
Mhm.
I remember when he was a shoe-in to be on the Yankees roster and gonna put up big numbers in that short porch. Not the case. Let's head further west to the AL West. I got the A's. I think they are as solid of a lineup as the Chicago White Sox, if not a bit better. I think they're a bit deeper. They do have some interesting prospects that could help them make the jump whenever they need them to. Shout out to Jesus Luzardo. But I think the A's take the West and edge out the Angels and the Astros. Kitty, what do you got?
Yeah, we finally got a difference here, Josh. I'm
Okay.
taking the Angels. Taking the Angels.
Ooh.
Yep.
This is the year. We got a 6-man rotation. Got Ohtani coming in every 6 days, just throw 100-mile gas right past people. This is the year he finally becomes the stud two-way player we all expect him to be, or at least a lot of people expect him to be when the Angels signed him.
Right.
So this is Ohtani's year with the Angels. They're winning that West.
He's still like 26, right? Something. He's still very young.
He might be 17 still. Who knows? They signed him real young.
Yeah, they did. Brian, AL West.
I got the Astros. And
Oh, there we go.
I hate that, but I like the A's. The A's always seem to grind it out and find a way to get to the playoffs. It seemed like last year the A's were like, all right, you sons of bitches, this is our time. We're going to take this over. And then the Astros said, no, little brother. This is we're still the kings of this division. So I hate it, but the Astros lineup is still too good. They get Jordan Alvarez added back to this. Kyle Tucker had a breakout year last year. I mean,
Michael Brantley's back.
I got major questions about that rotation.
Mhm.
They're not going to be as dominant as they were with Verlander and Garrett Cole up there. I mean, Greinke's their one now, so there's definitely a step back there. I still think that rotation is going to be good enough to win the division, though.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. Kitty, AL West. Or I'm sorry. We need to go to AL wildcard teams, don't we?
That's right.
On the AL wildcard teams, give me two, Brian.
This is quick. Like I said, A's grind it out. They find a way to get to the playoffs. And I think the Twins haven't hit that cliff yet, but next year the Royals are coming for that ass, baby. We're taking over your spot. Twins going to fall off the cliff, and it's our time next year.
Okay. I like it. Kitty, two wild cards.
I've got the Yankees and Oakland A's as my wild card teams. I feel like they're right there. They're both teams could easily win the division as well. So I feel like those two have the inside track there. My just out of it was the Blue Jays.
That's where I'm at. I'm at the Yankees and the Blue Jays. I think, like you said, the one thing about the Yankees that we haven't talked about is since 2002, the 2019 Tigers has had like 1,546 Ks. And I think this Yankees lineup could give them a run for their money. I think that they have a tendency. They can set that record, still score 7 runs a game. That's how good this lineup is. But I think that they could be real exciting as far as going for that record of strikeouts in a season. We'll see.
But
yeah,
Baby Jays are very fun. I
tell you what,
I wonder
that
about the
rotation's
pitching.
a little suspect.
Yeah. They can certainly make it interesting. Adding Marcus Semien and George Springer to that already pretty potent lineup was huge. But then after Rue and who's the second starter? There's another second.
Ray.
Robbie
Stripling?
Ray might be in there. I don't know.
Striplin's in there.
I mean, that team's gonna have a lot of 7-9, 9-7 games. They're gonna
Steven
win
Matz,
it or lose it.
Steven
Just
Matz,
not-
Tanner
Matz is in
Roark, and
there.
Anthony Kay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not getting it done.
That's not a postseason run rotation. It's not what that is.
I always think that, but then you think back to the 2014 Royals starting rotation that made it to the World Series. Chris Young and Jeremy Guthrie.
They're an exception to literally every rule.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
That's it. That was the one year that that should never have happened, but it did.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And thank God they did it back the next year. And
Yeah,
said,
that would
that's
have
not a
been
fluke.
brutal. Brutal. Let's move to the National League here. National League East starting off. I got the Baby Braves. I don't know if we can call them Baby Braves anymore. They are three-nager Braves maybe at this
Yeah.
point.
There you go.
But if that NL West wasn't so stupid stacked, I would take them to win it all. I really, really like them. They're going to rely heavily on a lot of prospects taking a step forwards, which is kind of a lot of ifs, but they were already in the NLCS last year. So giddy up. Let's give me the Braves to win the East and make the playoffs again. Kitty,
Shocker. Same one. Braves.
Yep.
Let's do it.
here we go.
Let's make it a
3 for 3.
throuple. Let's
Yep,
make it a
throuple.
throuple. I love
Let's
the
do it.
Baby Braves. They were already good last year. They had Charlie Morton to the rotation.
Yeah.
And I mean, they got exciting young bats and they've got exciting young arms. And
Yes.
they're going to be very good for many years.
Yep. I love
Mhm.
it. NL Central, Brian.
I hate it, but the Cardinals are going to win the Central Division. This division is a disaster. Everyone that was good decided, hey, let's just get rid of all of our good players, or we'll just hang on to enough of them that we might be 500, but we're not going to be competitive. And the Cardinals said, let's go get Nolan Arenado for nothing, and let's just win this bitch easily. And I think that,
Yep.
I mean, the depth of the staff, it can kind of be a question mark after
Sure.
you get past Flaherty and Waino. After that, it gets kind of sketchy sometimes, but I think the lineup's going to be really good when you got Goldie and Arenado in the top four of your lineup. That's sick.
That's potent. That's about as good as a 3-4 gets, I think, at that
Yep.
point. Kitty?
I'm going Brewers.
Ooh.
I think this division's wide open. Cardinals, Brewers, and not Reds are probably the three top teams in this division. Looks like this year.
Ooh, some disrespect on
going-
the Cubs.
I know my childhood squad, the Cubs. But I'm taking Brewers. I think the Brewers are gonna go for the Royals version of a winning team with that pitching and defense.
Yeah.
Hitting, we'll get enough. Well, it'll happen.
Right.
Somehow it'll happen, but pitching and defense is gonna carry the Brewers to the NL Central title this year.
Let's
Okay.
go.
Which is weird because the defense is what kept them out 2 years ago. Was that what it was?
Oh, man.
Was it last year?
Oh God, there was some. Yeah, they've had
That
some
was tough luck.
real
Yeah, that
gross
was
stuff.
not great.
Oh, that-
I went Cardinals. I don't want to talk about it. Let's move on. NL West, also don't want to talk about Dodgers. I don't want to talk about it.
Dodgers.
Dodgers.
I'm glad
Alright.
that they won one so we can go back to hating them.
Yep, absolutely.
Now that they're starting to flex their financial muscle, it's definitely time to hate on the Dodgers.
They're just now starting to do that? Just now?
Well, I mean, as far as like the Bauer and the Mookie Betts, those two moves this
Extension.
offseason, extension and the
I mean,
Bauer signing, they've done a pretty good job of homegrown talent on that
Oh,
team
for
a
sure.
while.
Yep.
So now it's like, oh, we can also spend
Right.
$75 million in free agents every year too. So
Yep.
that was we talked about last year how the run differential, the gap between them and the second best team was huge, and
Yeah.
then they go out and add the Cy Young winner. Oh my God,
Yeah.
let's go!
Yeah.
gross.
In a wild card team, Brian. Give me two.
I got, of course, the Padres. I feel like they're a no-brainer. They may challenge the Dodgers for the division, but I don't think they will.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to go Washington Nationals with a bounce back year.
Oh, there we go.
Because I think that lineup's sneaky with Juan Soto, Trey Turner in there, and they still
Joshy
have
Bell.
Scherzer, Corbin, and Strasburg at the top of that rotation. That's still could be a dominant rotation, and not
Yep.
one you'd want to face in the playoffs if you face them either. Because you got those three guys going in the playoffs, you better get some runs across the board.
Oh,
'cause
for sure.
they're nasty.
The last year was such a weird year for them. I cannot believe how bad they were, considering they still had that roster. It
2
was
years
weird.
removed from a World Series
Right.
championship.
Unbelievable.
I mean, Rendon was great and all, but
yeah, he wasn't the difference maker.
Right.
He's not the guy between 98 wins and 78 wins.
I wouldn't think so.
You gave us two. Yeah, you gave us
Yep.
two. Kitty, what's your two?
I have Padres and the Cardinals.
makes sense.
Wait,
Enough has
Oh,
been
that's
said
right.
about those teams.
that's right.
Yep.
I went Padres as well, adding Darvish and Snell. Ridiculous. I think they did a good job winning the offseason, I think. And they can also probably add Mackenzie Gore, one of the top prospects in the league, probably the best pitching prospect in the league as well. They're probably going to add him as a 2021 as well. I don't think they're good enough to take the division from the Dodgers, but I think that they could most definitely knock them out. I think they could certainly get to that point. And I'm going to do it. As long as they don't do it to themselves, the Mets have a very good roster. Very good.
Oh, they're also the Mets.
They are also the Mets. So this is the what's an unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
Exactly.
Can the Mets defeat the Mets?
Do you realize what you just did? You just signed yourself up to be a Mets fan.
I didn't sign up to be a Mets fan. I'm just saying.
You're going to root for your prediction to be right, and they're going to kick you in the nuts, just like they do all their fan base.
That's fine. I'm not a fan, so it's not going to harm me. I'm just like, okay, I'm wrong again. Big whoop.
Move on.
Big whoop.
What else is new?
We got the World Series matchup and the winners. I got the Padres over the Rays. I'm not confident in that Rays pick. I think that they gotta do a lot even to win their division. But like I said, I'm not rooting against them. I do think this is the second year that they lose to an NL West team, but it's different. So I got Padres over the Rays 5 games.
Okay.
Calling that shot to Kitty.
I'm going Padres over the White Sox in a 7-game series. Give me all, I'm a Padres super fan now. They're my new adopted team. I love me some Tatis Jr. He's just glorious. Those yellow dreads, and that it just matches his uniform now. They wear their brown and yellows. Oh, give me some Padres this year. I can't wait.
Who'd have thought a jersey was going to be so awesome? When they wear those pinstripes, it's awesome.
I know.
Legitimately
it's
awesome.
So good. It's a great uniform.
If anybody wants a fun Saturday night, about let's say 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, just slide into Kitty's Twitter mentions and say Michael Trout is the GOAT, and he will fight you and give you so many Fernando Tatis stats. He will come for your ass. Brian.
Well, I think MLB gets their wet dream, and we see a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. And I think the Dodgers slap them around a little bit and say, we're your daddy, and they win it in 5.
If that is the matchup, I will root for the Dodgers, even though I don't like either team anymore.
Right. You can't root for the Yankees.
I'll root for MLB blackout rules.
Sorry, Fox. Fox has decided that you are not in the viewing area any longer.
Josh's season is over. Brian, you start us off with the AL MVP prediction.
Well, I might as well go with the GOAT. His name's Mike Trout, Josh. The guy, I saw his stats. His career OPS is an exact 1,000. And he had a disappointing year last year, and he only hit 993, finished 5th in voting.
Oh,
so
God.
I think I'll go with the best player in the game to have a bounce back year and establish dominance once again.
That's so stupid that it's a bounce back, but it is. It really is. Kitty, what's your AL MVP prediction?
I have Trout as well, and I saw an article on MLB.com about who could be the next great player in MLB to overtake Trout, and they had 5 guys in their 162-game war, or the last 162 games everyone's played. Trout had 1.5 at least on every single guy they were mentioning to take over. That's a lot to take over.
How good he is. Yeah.
I mean, his was, I think, 9.2 or 9.6, can't remember exactly, but he was so far and above the best player for the last 162 games that he played versus everybody else. It's ridiculous.
Yep. He's very good. I, too, went Mike Trout, just the GOAT in his prime and ain't losing. So, yeah, give me Mike Trout. NL MVP. I'm going NL version of Mike Trout. Ronald Acuna. I think he takes a step forward on what he's already done. He almost put up a 40-40 season in 2019. Last season, on pace for 49 and 28. So if he's taken a step forward in that, then he is 100% going to be hands down the NL MVP in my mind. Kitty?
Yeah, that sounds really good. I went with Christian Yelich. I'm going to get him a bounce back year after his really terrible average in 2020. And if the Brewers win that Central, I think he's a prime candidate to get that NL MVP.
Good point. Yep. I like that. And if he's in that race, he's almost a shoe-in for comeback player of the year at that point then for sure.
Right. Same. Yeah, exactly.
Brian?
I'm with you, Josh. I got Acuna. I mean, people don't realize because he's become a household name by now. He's 23 years old this year.
Yeah.
It's insane what he's done already. And they say that he's made a tweak to his swing that he can get to pitches he was fouling off last year, and he can actually put them in play this year. So it's terrifying that guy may be even harder to get out. And I love Acuna. I love watching him play. They're going to win a lot of games. Like we talked, you need to be on a winning team usually. I think he's going to be in prime shape to get the MVP.
I was going to look. I saw something today that kind of jumped out to me. His walk rate in 2020 was 18.8.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That is,
Pretty
yeah,
good.
not chasing at all right there.
Nope.
And he leads off so many games with solo home runs.
Love it.
Do not throw that piped fastball to Ronald
No.
Acuna Jr. to
The
play
old,
to start off the at-bat.
The new Ricky B. Ricky just hitting
That's
those lead off home runs.
Yep.
Brian, AL Cy Young winner.
I'm going outside the box here with Lucas Giolito for the White Sox, even though I'm down on the White Sox.
You are? I don't think you've ever mentioned that before. It's weird.
He was kind of up and down his first few seasons in the league, but he's kind of established himself as one of the best pitchers in baseball the past couple of years. Finished 7th in the Cy Young last year, and I think he could just take a leap forward this year. Again, he'll be on a winning team where they'll count wins, even though wins should matter for starting pitchers. But that's to be discussed another day.
I think that's true, Kitty.
I agree. I'm going Shane Bieber. I mean, the guy strikes out like 12 guys per 9 as a starter. That's pretty damn solid. And I mean, it's could be tough with the being on that Indians team that might not be that great this year, but I feel like there's been a slight shift in some of the voting. If a guy doesn't have the wins, he still gets some consideration. So if he probably still needs to get to about 13 wins or just have a dominant ERA to get that. But I like Shane Bieber.
I think I'm going to check all the boxes with wins, ERA, big market. Garrett Cole, I think, is kind of the guy. Didn't really get a chance to flex his muscles too much in that 60-game season last year. So I think he's going to take it almost personally that he didn't get to show off a little bit, and he's going to start shoving for sure. So give me Garrett Cole. I'm not going to stay too far away from the chalk on the NL Cy Young. Jake DeGrom. I mean, until he's unseated, you gotta, in order to be the man, you've gotta beat the man. So give me Jake DeGrom. I know that I guess Trevor Bauer did technically beat him last year. No big deal. Give me Jake DeGrom. So that's what I got. Kitty.
I'm taking you, Darvish.
Ooh.
I feel like he's gonna dominate for those for the Padres this year.
Man, when they only win 80 games, you're gonna be real pissed.
It's gonna be a little bad.
It's not gonna be good.
I'm right there with Kitty. I got you, Darvish. He was the runner-up last year.
Okay.
And now you send him to San Diego, where it's just like that atmosphere there just seems so fun to play on that team. It's so like loose, and let's go out there and win. And there's no like added pressure on people. The fan base, even though they're excited to win, I think this year, I don't feel like it's going to be just like they won't get on him if he has like a tough outing. So I don't think he's going to get in his head that much. And we saw him against the Royals in spring training. It was one of the few games we got to watch. He was throwing frisbee up towards it. I mean, they're going all different ways and about 1,000 miles an hour, it seemed.
Yep. That's I think that's fair. Let's go to the AL Rookie of the Year. Brian.
I wanted to get hot take here, but I mean, I see Randy Rosarena is still eligible for Rookie of the Year.
Somehow.
And after watching him in that postseason run last year, I wanted to think, well, this must be like a fluke, right? He can't be this good of a hitter. But you go back and look at his numbers in every level of the minors, this guy has been an awesome hitter. And I just don't see anyone else getting the opportunities. And he's already kind of established himself as a legit player. So I think he comes into the season with full confidence, not needing to prove himself anymore, and he just let it go. So I think Rosarena is a safe bet to win.
Okay. Kitty?
I'm going to go Ryan Mountcastle for the Orioles.
Yep.
No, I don't know any of these rookies that well, but so I'm just taking a real stab in the dark on this one. Feel
Yeah.
like there's a lot of hype around his name, so we'll take this guy.
Yep. Good story. I like that story at Mountcastle. I would love to root for him for sure. Speaking of guys you like to root for, I'm gonna bring the heat here. Give me Bobby Witt Jr.
Oh,
Rookie
there we
of
go.
the year for the American League. One of the biggest issues I have is I think that you got to have a good sample size most of the time in order to be considered that. So I think that's his number one obstacle is getting to that point. I agree with Max Rieper. I think he eventually ends up the end of the year as an everyday player. I don't know where. Could be a lot of different options, but I think he does end up an everyday player and then puts up what we kind of think what he can do, what we've heard he can do, what he's been doing at old sites, summer camps and spring training, hitting 484-foot bombs. I think it all translates into a very probable or likely or at least possible rookie of the year campaign. So give me old Bobby Witt Jr. for that rookie of the year.
Okay. I got a mini rant here. I love the Bobby Witt Jr. pick. My problem is I don't think he's going to get the at-bats. We already talked about it. Rosa Rain is going to play the entire year and probably put up great numbers. Bobby Witt Jr. could put up great numbers, but I think at best case scenario, you see him 2 months into the year because minor leagues start a full month after major leagues. And then to become quote unquote undeniable to not have up on the team, I think he'll probably have to dominate for a full month in the minor leagues before they even consider it outside of an injury. And the whole reasoning for him getting demoted to the minor leagues, these Dayton Moore quotes about he only had a chance to have 2 weeks at second base. Like we didn't have this idea that we had a glaring hole potentially at second base. As soon as
it just occurred to them,
as soon as Carlos Santana was signed at first base, that told them Hunter Dozier's playing third base or right field for this team. So they were not ready for Bobby Witt Jr. to be ready to play on this team because they shoved him over at second base and said, let's see if you can just play second base naturally, instead of as soon as that signing happened, let's get a plan in place to where can you fit into this team, going forward. It was just like they went into spring training with the mindset of let's expose him to major league guys. Let's put him through a spring training, show him what it's like, and then we'll send him to the minors and we can work out wherever he works best. And they did not come in planning to be ready, that he was going to be ready. And I feel like they went scramble mode at the end. That's why we saw him go up to the very end until he got demoted, because he wasn't ready to play second base every day. And that just pisses me off that they didn't have a plan for him going in, that to even give him a chance to make it, even if you dominate spring training. And now they're talking like, we're going to send him down to the minors and we're going to play him all over the yard and kind of see what happens. And it's like, it's good for it's nice for when good players are versatile, right? It's nice that Whit Merrifield can play in field and outfield. It's nice that Dozier can play everywhere. But the way people are talking about this guy, he's a superstar. You need to figure out where he's best and go from there. He needs to claim a position and then move somewhere else. Somebody else gets to move, chain reaction from there. But they need to put him in a spot where they think he's going to be the best of his career going forward. Screw the versatility part. The guy is a ball player. He can play all over the field. I know he can. Let's dial in on where he can help this team best with this wave, because he's going to quickly become the guy on this team here in a couple of years. So let's let him establish dominance of whatever position that is. Hunter Dozier can play a perfectly good right field. He's not a dominant third baseman. If he is going to be a Gold Glove third baseman, let's go in that direction and let's get this train rolling and get a plan.
You're going to be real pissed when his big position is going to be shortstop, and then Mondesi has his breakout season, and then you're like, okay, someone's got to make a choice now. I mean, this is going to be the mini rant in August to be like, somebody flip a coin. I don't care. Somebody's got to go.
You move A-Rod to third base and everyone's happy. So
that's exactly where my head's been this whole time. Like when I always thought that Bobby Witt was going to be the third baseman, Mondesi was going to be the shortstop. And now there's been reports where Mondesi wants to sign an extension. They've been working on it. He loves the Royals organization. The Royals love him. Obviously, if they get that done, then you almost have answered your question. You put Bobby Witt Jr. at third base. That's the second most valuable outside. If you're going to shove him to the center field, do it. I'm into that as well.
I'm totally down with that. Yeah. Totally.
So we need to. I agree. We need to get that figured out. Get Bobby there. Get their playing reps regularly, and figure out where he's going to end up long term.
Rant
Let's
over.
go back. Let's go back. We got one more here. The National League Rookie of the Year. I went with Key Brian Hayes. There's like 5 or 6 guys that I could totally see putting up a good campaign for an NL Rookie of the Year award. But I do think Key Brian Hayes is going to win it in Pittsburgh. He had a 1124 OPS in 24 games last year, or in 2019. Then he followed it up. I'm sorry, that was in 2020. He had 24 games in 2020 at 1124. In spring training, he hit 1155 OPS in 52 spring training at bats. He didn't lose any momentum. It's only getting carried over, and he is a hell of a hitter. So give me Kid Brian Hayes as the NL Rookie of the Year. Kitty?
I'm going pitching side. I'm going Ian Anderson for the Braves.
I like it.
Guy was lights out last year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if he came up a little bit in 2019 or not, but the guy was lights out last year. If he keeps it going, I think it's going to be it's tough for a pitcher to win Rookie of the Year just a little bit, just because only every 5 days, but I think he's got a good shot for it.
I like it. Brian?
I'm right there with you. I got Ian Anderson. He only got 6 games started last year, but he had a 1.95 ERA, 1.082 WHIP, 11.4 strikeouts per inning, a 251 ERA plus. So if he anywhere close to that,
Yeah.
he won't only be going for Rookie of the Year. He'll be going for Cy Young if he's anywhere sniffing that. So he's got the sexy numbers. He was the number 3 overall pick in 2016. He's got the pedigree. Let's go, Ian Anderson.
Like I said, there's probably like 5 or 6 guys in the NL that I think could definitely do that. And I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 in the American League that I can kind of envision that. So it'll be interesting to kind of keep an eye on that for sure. But let's clear that table. We've cleared the waiver successfully. Let's get into the waiver wire draft. We got a good one here. So we've got opening day coming up in just a few days. On Thursday, the Royals having a home opener on opening day for the first time in a couple of years, seemingly. Fans are going to be allowed to go into the stadium and get their favorite snacks at their favorite locations. We took a little dive into the menu at Kauffman Stadium. You find it at MLB.com/Royals/ballpark/food to find what we're kind of working with here. But we're going to have a draft of our Kauffman Stadium menu. We're going to have 1 main dish, 1 snack, 1 appetizer. Those are different. And then 1, what they have on the website called social space. They got a few areas that are kind of called out specifically for in case you kind of want the game that you want to pay to go watch a game and have it going on in the background while you socialize for some reason. So we're going to have that draft. You can draft any of those things in any order that you want to. You can kind of just use your own judgment on that call. But I haven't gone first in a while.
Okay, let's do it.
And if I'm going to treat myself, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go kind of a controversial pick here. Shocking, I know. I'm going to go for my location first, my social space.
Okay.
Ooh.
One of my favorite places to sit in that stadium is just on that outfield wall. So give me that Pepsi party porch and that railing with the bar stool seats. I just love the view out there. You don't have thousands and thousands of people sitting on your shoulders. You don't have to worry about anybody like crowding you or anything. So give me that Pepsi party porch as a fat guy trying to get some heckles in on a good outfielder out there. Let's go. Let's just keep your Kitty. You go second.
All right. I'm going with the snack because this is the thing I love the most of the ballpark, and I want to get it saved away. I'm taking a Frosty Malt. Give me that damn Frosty Malt. I love it. Ever since I was a little tyke going to cough, or not back then, it was just like, I don't know if it was Royal Stadium, what they called it before. But
at the municipal stadium back in like 1965.
not back in I wasn't going in 1969 to municipal stadium. But the old Frosty Malt, the old GA seats out in the outfield before they revamped the stadium. Oh, love a Frosty Malt, that wooden spoon.
That
so
canoe paddle spoon.
Oh, it's so good.
Underrated spoon. Brian.
Oh my God. You guys are really just going to let me fair catch this punt
You're
right
gonna
into my
fair
lap.
catch that. Yep.
Go
Fair
right ahead.
catch.
Have your...
Give me the brisket nacho, baby. Because when you think of food at Kauffman, that's all you can picture. You get the barbecue nachos in the plastic helmet, and even if you've already had one, if you see somebody walking down the aisle with one, you're like, I kind of want to get another one of those.
100%. Yeah.
So brisket acho.
As a never had it.
Oh no!
Wow.
I
You get a souvenir helmet to go with it too. So
I
it's
also
not just
looked at the ingredients and I saw coleslaw and baked beans, and that just really just made me not real excited about this brisket acho.
Yeah.
I know. I'm a
It is
bad
delicious.
baseball fan. I'm
Go-
a jerk. I know.
Real jerk. Go get a brisket acho right now.
That's right.
Brian's kicking off round 2.
I mean, this is a dream for me because I get the number one main dish, and I'm going to take the number one baseball snack in the world. Give me that big bag of peanuts because I love peanuts. They go great with a nice cold beer. And there's something I enjoy about just making a huge mess on the floor and just dropping those peanut shells. Just crunching all those after I go in and out to the bathroom and getting beers.
There is something to be said about just being able to just drop peanut shells where you stand.
Oh, yeah.
Have no care in the world about the mess you're making. That is a nice feeling.
It's kind of like peeing off your back porch.
Well, except for some retired teacher with bad knees doesn't have to clean up your pee off your back porch.
I didn't make them work that job.
Well, you're making their job harder. They can
This
go
is
home to their
baseball,
family.
Josh. You
Oh,
eat
do you want me
peanuts.
to-
their family?
Do you want me to eat the shells then? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Yeah, eat the shells.
Oh,
I mean,
Jesus.
Get tough, Nancy boy. Come on.
If you suck on peanut shells, you are a serial killer, by the way.
Don't suck on them. You chew on them like a shrimp tail.
No.
No. You suck on the shells, then you open them up, throw them on the ground, and eat the nuts.
Out of
You guys
your
just
mind.
gonna let me get away with that, huh?
Way too
Why
much
would
salt.
you? Wait. That's the whole point of the peanut. Go for the salty shell.
Way too much salt.
Sure.
Then you have the beer to quench your thirst with the salty
right.
shell.
Let
You
me
need about
get
3
you with
more.
some sunflower seeds then.
Well, if they start selling those at the ballpark, sign me up.
You
Oh, they'll
can't
let you bring
can't
those in.
spit those without getting them on people
You bring your own
just-
bag.
You have to pick them out of your mouth like a jerk.
like a jerk.
No, you spit them like a man.
If they hit somebody, those are willy-nilly. They'll fly all over the place.
You got
I
bad
can
aim.
you can spit them out on the Pepsi party porch. Anything goes out there.
That's true. That's a good way to get that space first.
Yep. You guys didn't even know what you just did. I mean, the world is my oyster out there on the Pepsi party porch. Kitty, what's your second pick?
All right. I think I'm going to go. I like that. I'm going to go the Miller Lite Fountain Bar as my second pick.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a great location. You're not so far out of the way or so far out of the action where you can't pay attention. But if you don't want to pay attention, you're not going to get hit in there with the ball coming at you.
Mm-hmm.
Pepsi Party Porch has a real possibility there.
Could. Yep.
But it's just a nice little area out there in the left field, just outside left field over the top of the stands. So just really like hanging out there. Used to have greyhounds out there. Don't have them anymore. Real terrible move, Kauffman Stadium. Getting rid of grapefruit juice. How dare they?
Maybe you can bring some of your lifetime supply of white grapefruit juice from last week.
Well, let's hope so. I'll send a letter to Dayton Moore. Toot sweet after this.
There
is
you
over.
go. Don't worry about the MLB blackout rules. Yes, third time I'm bringing it up. It's a big issue.
He's not putting liquor into his binocular flask. He's putting white grapefruit juice in there.
Exactly.
Just give me some vodka on the rocks, please.
That's an ace move right there. Put a flask there,
that.
yeah. Full of grapefruit juice, obviously.
What's the problem?
What's the problem here? I'm gonna go next with my main dish, but there are pub nachos. They have
Mhm.
like it's just like a regular old nacho, but it also has like barbacoa on top. Just like it's not your average nacho, but I've never had one, but they sound delicious. Give me pub nachos.
Very good.
Yeah, that's what I was reading the menu, and that was making me my mouth water a little bit.
It stands
Mhm.
out, that's for sure.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna go next with my I got a snack and an appetizer, and I got a good list of both. I'll go with my appetizer here, and I'm gonna go Bavarian pretzel with
Mhm.
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
necessarily a traditional ballpark meal, but Boy, are soft pretzels with cheese just delicious. Give me Bavarian pretzel with cheese for my appetizer.
It's fine.
It's always it's a good appetizer. I mean,
Probably
pretzel
don't want to
and
have it in like the middle of August.
cheese.
Some
After that
hot
frosty
cheese.
malt, that frosty malt's coming in great those dog days of summer.
True.
You're just sweating on your pretzel.
It's just salty like bread sweats. I don't know if that's a thing, but it 100% could become a thing in that situation.
Yep.
Good old bread and cheese sweats. Kitty, third pick.
Yeah, since you guys already have I gotta go with an appetizer, and didn't seem like an appetizer, but based on the menu, it was a starter. And I saw Nashville hot chicken.
Uh-huh.
I have not had it out there at the stadium,
Uh-uh.
but sure as shit, I'm gonna have it next time I go to the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Try and stop me, anybody. Anybody. Ryan stopped me from having some Nashville hot chicken at the stadium. You will get a solid beating coming your way.
I will say those
took
are
a gander at
available
that.
in Craft and Draft and Rivals. So I would make sure you've got a table or a Craft and Draft ticket up there because
Yep.
wings can get pretty nasty.
Yes.
Mhm.
You're not eating wings in
Sure.
a seat in GA.
That's disaster waiting to happen.
Yes.
That
100%.
or just the greatest option for someone filming the game and just, oh, look at this guy.
Got
This
sauce all
is
over his beard.
slob. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the Costanza at the U.S. Open film moment waiting to happen.
Yep.
You just see you like getting drunk, ordering Nashville hot chicken wings, and just like rubbing them in your hair. And
Foreheads full of Nashville hot chicken
it's like
sauce.
July 27th, and it's 116 degrees out, and you're just covered in Nashville hot chicken sauce.
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see that. Brian, third pick and fourth pick.
All right, let's take my app first. I'm going out to Craft and Draft, and I'm getting some pepperoni pizza rolls.
Oh yeah.
Hand rolled pizza rolls with marinara. It's not real baseball-y, to say
No.
the least, but God, they look really good.
Yeah.
They did. They really did.
And
Not gonna have twist my arm. I'll have a few of those too.
yeah, after I get done with my pizza rolls, I'm headed out to what they call the Blue Moon Tap Room now.
Mm-hmm.
I like to watch it out there on the top level above Rivals. If you can somehow get one of those seats that has the railing, you can sit there and leave your beer there. You've got access to a bathroom right behind you. You've got access to a bar right behind you. And what I like about it over the Miller Lite fountain seats, you've got a better angle at seeing the video board. Because I feel like I like to
Sure.
hang out in left field, but I can never see what's going on the video board. You can usually tell enough by the sideboards or whatever, but I also like to see the lineup and all that good stuff coming up. So if I can score one of those high top tables up there at the fountain bar, I mean, I love it.
Something else you're gonna score up there is some raccoon eyes because it's the last place in the stadium that loses sunlight.
Yes. It's very bright when the sun's going down in the afternoon.
You're watching the whole game from the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's a really good spot for day games.
That's true.
I feel like those mid-summer or late summer games where it's 9 o'clock and it's just sunlight still coming out. You're just
Yep.
squinting a little too much.
Yeah.
You drank too
Make
much
it tough.
beer, not enough water. You've been squinting the whole, so your head is pounding. Yep, been
Yeah, those 3 p.m. Saturday games are probably the worst spot for that one.
there. Yep, that's
true.
probably true.
That's a fact, Jack.
Kitty.
All right, so I believe, my main dish left, and I have not had this yet, but damn, they look good, and that is the street taco trio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, drunken barbacoa beef on one, chipotle chicken, and then grilled cod with mango.
Yep, sign me up.
I am 100% ready for some street tacos.
It's not bad. I've never met a street taco order that has made me full afterwards, though.
Right? Sometimes they will. Sometimes the smaller tortilla shells with them, but man, that's just the ingredients sound so
Combination sounds
delicious.
good. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth getting once and it didn't fill me up. All right, I got it once. It was delicious, but yeah, not enough. I guess next time I'll go pub nachos like you took, Josh. Those are
Yep.
pretty damn good.
Or just the classic nachos.
Or
Right.
yeah, just classic nachos with the
Classic
jalapenos on
nachos.
top. Boom.
Just dump a bunch of jalapenos.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring us home with my snack. It's taken a lot of willpower, and I know that it's the classic. It's the classic one, but I'm gonna have to let Dippin' Dots go. It's usually like it always sounds better than it ever is. It's never good. It's
Fair.
frostbitten ice cream balls, and it's never as good as you think it's gonna be. So I'm
Very
gonna
true.
switch it up. Something I haven't seen or had out there, but it sounds really good. Is cinnamon sugar donut holes, and they put chocolate and vanilla frosting swirled on top of those bad boys. It sounds very, very good. So I'm gonna top everything off my whole Kauffman Stadium visit with some cinnamon sugar donut holes.
Again, maybe not late August order there.
True.
Yeah, the same thing was similar was the cinnamon sugar churro bites that I
Churro
saw
bites. Yep.
that serve with a cup of spicy Mexican hot chocolate. Yeah, not
Yeah.
a July or August order.
I had to really consider the churro balls until I saw spicy hot chocolate and thought about 110-degree weather where I can't physically keep water in my body. Not good. Not good.
Yeah, there's some of these items are not July, August friendly.
I'm intrigued. Give me a nice
Yes.
October game and I'll go find your spicy hot chocolate and get it right in my tummy, but
Mhm.
not in July, man. That's all we got for the Cleveland Wavers podcast this week. Episode 69. We did it, fellas.
Nice.
We finished episode 69. Didn't make any jokes about it. It's just a special milestone for us. So
We're so
we've
mature.
grown. We're mature adults at this point, and we're not making any 69 jokes. So we did it. Thanks again to Max Rieper for coming on with us again. We really appreciate him taking the chance on us as a podcast, bringing on the RoyalsReview.com network. We really, really appreciate the opportunity, the exposure, the crowd, the audience, all of it. We just really, really appreciate it. Thankful to him for everything so far. I think, I play ball, I guess, is the way to go. Enjoy opening day, guys. We still got a few March Madness games. Really good time to be tapped in the sport. So thanks for joining us for this week. We'll see you next week. Ta-ta for now.
Strike three called. It's over.